What's up, guys? I'm Aaron12, your coach of the Roman Poliots, and here I bring you my draft analysis for the International Battling League, or the IBL for short. As you can see, this is the team that I drafted. This is the whole team I drafted. And the elephant in the room is that some of the mons are not in the order that they should be drafted. The reason is that I wanted to do this draft analysis in the way that I constructed the team, that I came up of with everything that has to do with the team, and that's the way I'm going to do this draft analysis. So the first month, as you see here, is Coquebo, and that was the first month that I decided to build this team around, because pretty much as soon as the game dropped and the meta game was developing, I saw what this month could do, and never got to draft it until now. This month can almost instantly and pretty easily snowball entire teams just by using its dual stab of water and fighting. In some cases that it does, they have a shake or a wall to those types. Quaquable has the coverage moves needed to cover those types. Um, it has a fantastic base attack of 120, a usable speed of 85, which paired with its signature move and its hidden ability, it pretty much, like I said, it can snowball games completely by itself. This mon is a fantastic wall breaker. It can do a lot of things. It can uh, get momentum by using U-turn or flip turn. Of course, it had stab moves like liquidation, wave crash. Mostly, it's going to use um, aqua step as its reliable water type stab. As for fighting, most of the time it's going to use close combat. It has a pretty good priority move in aqua jet that can be used. But I think where this mon shines is the ability to have high powered moves in combination with its coverage moves, because it has Ice Spinner to hit flying types, dragon types, and grass types. It now has knockoff in this DLC, it got it, that allows it to hit ghost types and psychic types, which gave it trouble beforehand. And of course, it has U turn. It gets Brave Bird to hit grass types as well, and it's just pretty much a powerhouse that if you are not prepped for it, it can sweep entire teams, which also is kind of a bummer that in this league it cannot terrestrialize, which if we were allowed to terrestrialize, this would be my Terramon, because with Terra this mon would be unstoppable. So yeah, that's the first mon that I decided to do this team around. Next up is my actual round one pick, which is Tornado Theory. But while looking for partners for Quaquable, I decided on Tornado Tyrion because this mon pretty much does everything it wants to do, with the exception that it didn't get default back in the DLC. That's the only negative. But it can do a lot of stuff. It's fast, it has regenerator, and as you can see by my next pick after that, it's pretty big uh, in my team. So, and this mon can do a lot of stuff. It got nasty plot for setup. I think it also gets bulk up as a setup option. Um, strong stabs in Bleak Windstorm and Hurricane. Air Slash can be used too. Priority. It doesn't have priority, unfortunately, but in my opinion, it doesn't need priority. It got knockoff back also in the DLC, so that's pretty good in the utility options. It has a lot of coverage, poison coverage with slush bomb, slush wave, fighting coverage, superpower, focus blast, grass coverage in grass knot, heat wave. I think it also gets icy wind as ice coverage. Um, and yeah, this one is just mainly as a great partner to Coquable and as the glue to the whole team overall. Next up is my actual second pick, and is Slowking Galar. When you think of Tornado Tyrion and Regenerator, you have to think about Slowking Galar and Regenerator. That's because Tornado Tyrion and Slowking Galar as a Regenerator pair share a difference between Tornadoes and the other Regenerator mods, with except one another. That is, they don't share any weaknesses, which helps them so much with each other that they don't have a type or a specific mon that could beat them 1v1. Well, technically there is a specific mon, but I have it. So that's the positive. But that is going to be uh, further way down the line. Slowking Galar. This mon literally is the epitome of special wall, and it is also the most effective assault vest user pretty much in the entire game since it came out in Generation 8, the Crown Thunder. This mon in the special side can take any hit without any problem. Move pool isn't bad either, since it shares almost the same move pool as regular Slowking, which also has a huge move pool with more moves, but this one has more coverage. Um, it also gives me a toxic spike setter, which is amazing with my team, and it's just a Pokemon paired with Tornado Styrian, and that makes it almost or very difficult to kill itself and Tornado Styrian as a regenerator. It gets coverage moves like Focus Blast, Flamethrower, Ice Beam, Surf. Um, it gets status moves like Thunder Wave, of course, Toxic, Recovery in Slack Off. It gets Receptions, which, even though I don't have any Ice type mon that would benefit from Chilly Reception, I have a way of momentum in this mon, as well as Tornadoes with U-turn and Coquable with U-turn and flip turn. So yeah, the next mon that I really wanted to draft, and but was one of my last pick. I think it was my last pick, but I put it here because after Slowking Galar, I wanted this move when I saw what move it got, and it was Fionn. Fionn got a move in Legends Arceus called Take Heart, and this move is busted. This move pretty much allows me to get a Calm Mind boost paired with a Heal Bell or Refresh that in this case would heal any status elements like burn, toxic, paralysis that Fionn has. This makes Fionn a really budget bulky water that it couldn't do before because before it didn't have the move. It didn't even have the regular Calm Mind. So now Fionn is an actual threat, and because here it was only 1 point, I thought it was a steal, so I decided that it needed to be on my team as soon as possible. But it was my last round pick, so I think nobody thought about it, or nobody was that scared of it, or would was interested in picking it. Another thing, Fionn is one of my two Terra captains in this league, which can terrestrialize into a fairy type or a grass type, respectively. And this allows Fionn to be and to have an extra layer of possibilities in the game. The coverage of Fionn is not that impressive, but it's usable. It has, of course, stab, surf, stab, water moves. It has of ice beam. It has grass knot, of course, Terra Blast, which most of the time I'm going to use it if I bring it because it's going to be my Terra Captain, and it gets Dazzling Gleam. It also gets some pretty interesting uh, moves, support moves, like, of course, Rain Dance for its hydration. It gets both screens, reflect and light screen. It gets U-turn, both U-turn and flip turn for momentum, and it gets knockoff also for support. So I feel like Fionn will be a sleeper pick and a mon that the other coaches have to be worried about and not overlook in prep, because as I've learned by using mons that not many people uh, tend to use, people tend to overlook it and not prep for it, and then get swept by it. So this is notice for all of the other coaches in the league that prep for field. That's all I'm going to say about it. Anyway, the next month that I decided, this was my fourth round pick. My third round pick was Quaquable. My fourth round pick, I decided to pick up. I'm sorry, this was my fifth round pick. I decided to pick up Hydreigon. I decided to pick up Hydreigon because Hydreigon plus Slowking Galar have a very, 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 very good synergy. They have very good synergy because they cover most of each other's weaknesses. This also gave me my Dragon type and my Dark type, which are important parts of a team. And it also gives me that special World Breaker to complement Quaquaval as the physical wall breaker. Hydreigon is one of the most amazing dragons in draft and in regular play. As a setup sweeper, amazing. It gets Nasty Plot, it gets Dragon Dance, it gets now I think it gets agility. I could be wrong. It gets home claws. Um, for hazard setting, it gets stealth rock. It gives me my first rocker in the team at the moment. Um, and now, in my opinion, I think it's better than ever after the DLC because it doesn't now have to rely in the physical sets from Crunch. It now gets knockoff. So, and that's a big boost to Hydreigon's physical movement. Um, in the special move pool, I think that's the part where Hydreigon shines the most. It gets Reiko Meteor, Dark Pulse for stab. Dragon Pulse can also be used for stab. Earth Power, Flamethrower, Fire Blast, Flash Cannon. It gets reliable recovery in Roost. It gets, I think it doesn't get defog. It lost defog. That's unfortunate, but most of the time I'm not going to use it as defog, as a defogger. It also gets U-turn for momentum, and it gets some pretty cool utility moves like Thunder Wave. It gets Taunt. Um, so yeah, that's pretty much Hydreigon. The role of Hydreigon as a special wall breaker, and the counterpart of Quaquaval. Next up, my actual fourth round pick was Mamoswine. And the reason why I drafted Mamoswine, and I brought it up talking about Slowking Galar, is that when I look when you look at my team at the moment, Mamoswine, or the combination of ice and ground, is the type combination that beats my whole team 1v1. So what? And there is just two usable mons that have that type. That being Mamoswine and the other one being Piloswine, which, spoiler alert, wasn't drafted. So I decided to go with Mamoswine. Mamoswine gives me another physical wall breaker and a powerful, powerful ice type and ground type. It gives me another rocker which is amazing, and it's decently bulky as well with the 110 HP and 80 defense and 60 special defense. It's decently bulky, so it can be used many ways. Both, but most of the time it's going to be using, of course, Ice Stab, Ground Stab, Priority Ice Shard, and maybe Rock Move. The only negative about Mamoswine, oh, the only negative about Mamoswine is that even though it is so strong, it relies on certain items to be the mon it wants to be, technically. It also has knockoff. It got knockoff back from the DLC, so that's amazing. And yeah, that's everything I have to say about Mamoswine. Next up, I decided to draft Klefki. Here, my plan, here is where the plan kind of went in different routes. Because originally, I didn't have Klefki here. I had my Fairy and my Steel separate. But then I had an issue in terms of the weaknesses of my whole team. Because what I normally do in draft teams, when I draft a team, is for my team to not have any overlapping weaknesses, because that allows my team to be as flexible as possible. So, since that would give me a glaring weakness to a type, I decided to go for Klefki that didn't give me that. And the other one that I was considering over Klefki was Tinkaton. Since they share the same typing, Tinkaton is faster and Tinkaton is bulkier in the special side. But I thought that Prankster plus the utility that Klefki gave to my team was more important than what Tinkaton would have given my team. So that's why I drafted Klefki. Klefki gives me a spike setter, a pretty much a yellow magic um, spreader, because it just clicks Thunderwave. It also gives me another mon that has screens that would allow the other mons on my team to set up pretty easily. And typing wise, it has what is considered the best dual type in the game. It only has two weaknesses, being ground and fire, which pretty much are covered by my whole team pretty easily. And it can handle ground types because it gets Magnet Rise. In terms of offense, Klefki is not that good, but it could be used offensively. It gets Calm Mind, it gets Dazzling Gleam, Flash Cannon, Psychic, Psyshock. Um, in the physical set, Play Rough. Unfortunately, doesn't get Iron Head, so it gets Foul Play that could prevent physical attackers from sweeping and from doing a lot of damage to my team. So yeah, that's Klefki. Next up is my second Terra Captain, Lycanroc Day. Lycanroc Day is a pretty good mon even without sand. I prefer it. I prefer it being used without sand than with sand. I feel like with sand it has a lot of weaknesses. Well, depending on the widespread team, how it is built, is depending on that. But I don't like it with sand, so I drafted it with without sand. Lycanroc here is my second, my I'm sorry, my third physical wall breaker. And why I decided a third physical wall breaker instead of a secondary special. Well, first of all, I would consider Tornado Styrian to be my secondary special wall breaker. And Lycanroc just fit the team perfectly. And mostly as a Terra captain, it is very underrated. Lycanroc's Terra types are rock and grass. Rock because it gives me a stronger stab, Stone Edge, and the priority Accelerock. And grass because it covers two of Lycanroc's biggest weaknesses, being grass. It, I'm sorry, three of Lycanroc's biggest weaknesses, being ground, grass, and water. It also has an amazing speed stat of 112 and an amazing move pool. It gets close combat, Trailblaze, Send Headbutt, Psychic Fangs, Play Rough, Drill Run. It gets Stealth Rock for setting up hazards. It gets Taunt for disrupting any status moves. It gets Endeavor for the Suicide Lead set. It gets a lot of attacks that complement my team amazingly, and it is a powerhouse. So that's why I drafted it. The next one we have is Rotom Heat. This one is pretty much connected to Klefki, to Mamoswine, and to Tornado Styrian into why I picked. When I was building this team, I needed an electric type and a fire type. And again, I was thinking, do I go do I branch it out, or do I go with Rotom Heat that has those typings combined? But when I decided on Mamoswine, Klefki, and Tornado Styrian, I was like, I need Rotom Heat. Main reason, they wall. Rotom Heat is a wall for all three of them. Klefki, Mamoswine, and Tornado Styrian can do nothing to Rotom Heat. Mamoswine could do rock moves, but they're not going to kill. Klefki, it cannot do anything. And Tornado Styrian, it can do something, but it needs two things. Either rain setup, which my team doesn't have rain for weather ball water, or Smackdown, which is never KO. So that is the main reason why I drafted Rotom, because it serves as a wall for Mamoswine, for Tornado Styrian, and for Klefki, and so no other team could have it. Rotom Heat also has, as well as the other Rotoms, have very good utility. They have two status moves, Thunder Wave and Will-O-Wisp. This one has, of course, Overheat, um, Volt Switch for momentum. It gets, um, unfortunately, it didn't get defog or pain split back, so it doesn't have reliable recovery, which is the unfortunate thing of all the Rotoms. But I feel like picking Rotom was an opportunity I couldn't pass up. Next up, I have Bramblegast. Bramblegast here, I was debating again. This is the spot where I was debating between 2 months. Pretty much I was debating between Bramblegast and Decidueye, and which one fit the team better. And I decided that Bramblegast did. Bramblegast gave me a Spike Setter accompanying Klefki. It gave me another Rapid Spinner accompanying Quaquaval. It gives me a strong physical Ghost Mon, and now that it has a usable physical Ghost Stab in Poltergeist, it can be what it needed to be. It also has a pretty powerful Grass Stab in Power Whip. It has priority in Sneak, and it is also, surprisingly enough, a wall for Tornado Styrian because of its ability Wind Rider. And it also serves as a wall for Quaquaval, for Fionn, and for Slowking Galar. Let's be honest. So I decided it because within my team, it could make my team more cohesive, and also it could help me as a physical attacker break the defenses of my opponent's team. And last but not least, my second my second to last pick, because my last pick was Fionn, we have Skuntank. Here I decided on Skuntank because I wanted a pretty much a ghost resist that wasn't fighting weak. Because if we take out Skuntank, those are the two weaknesses that my team has: fighting and ghost. So I needed a dark type that wasn't weak to fighting. So I decided on Skuntank, which I feel it got better with the DLC. Skuntank gave me a second T-Spiker. It gives me another knockoff user, which is amazing. It gave me a bulky poison type, another bulky poison type, a bulky dark type. It gets gunshot, which it didn't have before, instead of poison jab. It has setup with nasty plot, and the coverage is not bad either. It has play rough, of course, crunch, dark pulse knockoff, gunshot, poison jab, sludge bomb, flamethrower, fire blast. It gets stunned again to disrupt. Um, Status moves. It gets roar. It gets haste to cancel out any setup moves. It gets toxic, so I can reliable toxic mons, and it serves as the secondary glue of the team. So yeah, that's the whole team for of your Roman Polions in this season of the IBL. And yeah, the battles are coming out, I think, every Friday as well. And yeah, be sure to check out the battles when they come out. And of course, see you next time.